everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm still in the setup. I actually quite liked it when I edited the true crime video, but I did notice that my living room looked really crooked, so I have to straighten out my camera. I don't know if that's decent in this video, but we'll just see. Do give me some feedback on the background, you might have already on the true crime video, I don't know. I'm uploading it as we speak while I'm recording. But yeah, we'll just see. I don't know. The light is kind of bothering me a little bit, but it's getting dark out, so I need it on. Anyway, ramble over. Today I wanted to just do a simple whispered facts video. You guys gave me so many TV shows that you wanted me to do one on, and I'll definitely do some of them. But for today, I'm going to do some whispered facts about the human brain. So I just have them here on my phone. So let's dive into them. The typical brain comprises about 2% of the body's total weight, but uses 20% of its total energy and oxygen intake. Your brain is 73% water. It only takes 2% dehydration to affect your attention, memory, and other cognitive skills. 90 minutes of sweating can temporarily shrink the brain as much as 1 year of aging does. Your brain weighs about 3 pounds. 60% of the dry weight is fat, making the brain the most fatty organ in the body. 25% of the body's cholesterol resides within the brain. Cholesterol is an integral part of every brain cell. Without adequate cholesterol, brain cells die. No one knows for sure, but the latest estimate is that our brains contain roughly 86 billion brain cells. Each neuron can transmit 1,000 nerve impulses per second and make as many as tens of thousands of synaptic contacts with other neurons. A piece of brain tissue the size of a grain of sand contains 100,000 neurons and 1 billion synapses, all communicating with each other. All brain cells are not alike. There are as many as 10,000 specific types of neurons in the brain. Your brain needs a constant supply of oxygen. As little as 5 minutes without oxygen can cause some brain cells to die, leading to severe brain damage. Babies have big heads to hold rapidly growing brains. A 2-year-old's brain is 80% of an adult size. As any parent can attest, teenage brains are not fully formed. It isn't until about the age of 25 that the human brain reaches full maturity. Brain information travels up to an impressive 268 miles per hour. This is faster than Formula One race cars, which top out at 240 miles per hour. Your brain generates about 12 to 25 watts of electricity. This is enough to power a low wattage LED light. There's a reason the brain has been called a random thought generator. The average brain is believed to generate up to 50,000 thoughts per day. I truly believe that with my anxious brain, that's 3 times the amount. Every minute, 750 to 1,000 milliliters of blood flows through the brain. This is enough to fill a bottle of wine or a liter bottle of soda. Your brain can process an image that your eyes have seen for as little as 13 milliseconds, less time than it takes for you to blink. Size matters with some things, but with the brain, bigger doesn't always mean better or smarter. In general, men's brains are 10% bigger than women's, even after taking into account larger body size. However, the hippocampus, the part of the brain most strongly linked with memory, is typically larger in women. Albert Einstein's brain weighed 2.71 pounds, 10% smaller than the average of 3 pounds. However, the neuron density of his brain was greater than average. Neanderthal brains were 10% larger than our Homo sapiens brains. While humans have the largest brains proportional to body weight of all animals, we don't have the biggest brains. That distinction belongs to sperm whales with 17-pound brains. Human brains have gotten significantly smaller over the past 10 to 20,000 years. The lost volume is equivalent to the size of a tennis ball. The hippocampus, the part of the brain considered the memory center, is significantly larger in London cab drivers. This is due to the mental workout they get while navigating the 25,000 streets of London. Our modern lifestyle is changing our brains, and it's not all for the better. Chronic stress and depression are rampant in modern life. Either can cause measurable brain shrinkage. The modern diet is low in omega-3 essential fatty acids. Low levels of omega-3 results in brain shrinkage equivalent to 2 years of structural brain aging. Since the Victorian era, the average IQ has gone down 1.6 points per decade for a total of 13.35 points. Technology has forced most of us to be prodigious multitaskers, but your brain can't learn or concentrate on 2 things at once. What it can do is quickly toggle back and forth between tasks, but doing so decreases your attention span, ability to learn, short-term memory, and overall mental performance. Unexpectedly, millennials aged 18 to 34 are more forgetful than baby boomers. They are more likely to forget what day it is or where they put their keys rather than their parents. Brain cells cannibalize themselves as a last-ditch source of energy to ward off starvation. So, in very real ways, dieting, especially low-fat diets, can force your brain to literally eat itself. Over 140 proteins in the brain are negatively impacted by exposure to electromagnetic frequencies, the kind emitted by your cell phone and other electronic devices. Relying on GPS to navigate destroys your innate sense of direction, a skill that took our ancestors thousands of years to develop and hone. When areas of the brain involved in navigation are no longer used, those neural connections fade away via a process known as synaptic pruning. I just want to say, some of us are born without a sense of direction, okay? I did not have one since birth. I am grateful for GPS because I don't know how I would have survived if it wasn't invented. Like, I've never had a sense of direction. So yeah. You've probably heard that attention spans are getting shorter and that the average person's attention span is shorter than that of a goldfish. This fun but alarming fact turns out not to be true. There's no evidence that human attention spans are shrinking or that goldfish have particularly short attention spans either. The popular myth that we only use 10% of our brain is flat out wrong. Brain scans clearly show that we use most of our brain most of the time, even when we're sleeping. There is no such thing as a left brain or right brain personality or skill type. We are not left brained or right brained, we are all whole brained. In spite of what you've been told, alcohol does not kill brain cells. What excessive alcohol consumption can do is damage the connective tissue at the end of neurons. The Mozart effect has been debunked. While listening to certain kinds of music can improve memory and concentration, there's nothing unique about listening to Mozart. You may have heard that we have more brain cells than there are stars in the Milky Way, and while this is a beautiful sentiment, it is not true. Best guess estimates are that we have 86 billion neurons, while there are 200 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. It's often said that there are 10,000 miles of blood vessels in the brain, when actually that number is closer to 400 miles, still a substantial amount. Contrary to the prevailing medical belief, having high total cholesterol is not bad for your brain. In fact, high cholesterol actually reduces your risk of dementia. I think they should point out, though, that there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, and having high levels of bad cholesterol is definitely bad for you, but good cholesterol is great. Until recently, it was a fact that you were born with a set level of intelligence and number of brain cells that could never be changed. But it has since been discovered that your brain has the capacity to change throughout your lifetime due to a property known as brain plasticity. The brain can continue to form new brain cells via a process known as neurogenesis. Memory is better thought of as an activity rather than being associated with a specific area of the brain. Any given memory is deconstructed and distributed in different parts of the brain. Then, for the memory to be recalled, it gets reconstructed from the individual fragments. Your brain starts slowing down at the ripe old age of 24, but peaks for different cognitive skills at different ages. In fact, at any given age, you're likely getting better at some things and worse at others. An extreme case is vocabulary skills, which may peak as late as the early 70s. If you are drinking alcohol and don't remember what you did last night, it's not because you forgot. While you are drunk, your brain is incapable of forming memories. It's generally believed that people with exceptional memories are born that way, but this is rarely the case. Most memory masters will tell you that having an outstanding memory is a skill they developed by employing the best memory techniques. I find it kind of weird because I have a really good memory and I don't think I did anything particular to get it. Human brain tissue is not dense. It's very fragile, soft and squishy, similar to the consistency of soft tofu or gelatin. The brain produces a half cup of fluid every day. It floats in this bath of cerebrospinal fluid, which acts as a shock absorber to keep the brain from being crushed by its own weight. Sometimes half a brain is as good as a whole one. When surgeons operate to stop seizures, they remove or disable half of the brain in a procedure known as a hemispherectomy. Shockingly, patients experience no effect on personality or memory. Your brain has a pattern of connectivity as unique as your fingerprints. Although pain is processed in your brain has no pain receptors and feels no pain. This explains how brain surgery can be performed while the patient is awake with no pain or discomfort. Headache pain feels like it starts in your brain, but is caused by sensations from nearby skin, joints, sinuses, blood vessels, or muscles. Brain freeze surely feels like pain in the brain, but is an example of referred pain emanating from the roof of the mouth. Fortunately, brain freeze does not freeze brain cells because frozen brain cells rupture and turn to mush. The brains of introverts and extroverts are measurably different. MRIs reveal that the dopamine reward network is more active in the brains of extroverts, while introverts' brains have more gray matter. According to research done at Cambridge University, the order of letters in a written word doesn't matter much to your brain. As long as the first and last letters are in the right spot, your brain can rearrange the letters to form words as fast as you can read. Your brain's storage capacity is considered virtually unlimited. It doesn't get used up like RAM memory in your computer. The latest research shows that the brain's memory capacity is a quadrillion bytes compared to a computer. Astoundingly, this is about the same amount needed to store the entire internet. The human brain is capable of 1,016 processes per second, which makes it far more powerful than any existing computer. Researchers involved in the AI Impacts project have developed a way to compare supercomputers to brains by measuring how fast a computer can move information around within its own system. By this standard, the human brain is 30 times more powerful than the IBM Sequoia, one of the world's fastest supercomputers. Japan's K computer is one of the most powerful computers in the world. When programmed to simulate human brain activity, it took 40 minutes to crunch the data, equivalent to just 1 second of brain activity. There are almost 200 known cognitive biases and distortions that cause us to think and act irrationally. Memories are shockingly unreliable and change over time. Emotions, motivation, cues, context, and frequency of use can all affect how accurately you remember something. This includes flashbulb memories, which occur during traumatic events. Of the thousands of thoughts a person has every day, it's estimated that 70% of this mental chatter is negative, self-critical, pessimistic, and fearful. I'd say most of us can relate to that. Think you're in control of your life. Don't be so sure. 95% of your decisions take place in your subconscious mind. A blood-brain barrier protects your brain by preventing many foreign substances in your vascular system from reaching the brain. But the barrier doesn't work perfectly and many substances sneak through. Nicotine rushes into the brain in a mere 7 seconds. Alcohol, on the other hand, takes 6 minutes. Our brains crave mental stimulation, sometimes to a fault. Hilariously, men especially would rather give themselves electric shocks than sit quietly in a room and think. Synesthesia is a condition where stimulation of one sense automatically evokes a perception of another sense. People with synesthesia might taste words, smell sounds, or see numbers as colors. While it's not known exactly why this occurs, the prevailing theory is that these brains have hyperconnectivity between sensory areas in the brain. The human brain is extraordinarily complex and consequently can go awry in some spectacular ways. Some of these strangest disorders include explosive Tourette syndrome disorder, hearing phantom explosions in your head. Capgras syndrome, thinking loved ones have been substituted by imposters, robots, or aliens. And Cotard's syndrome, believing you are dead. Savant syndrome is a condition where those with serial mental disabilities have an island of genius. The most common areas of genius fall into one of these categories: music, art, mathematics, mechanical, or spatial skills. Oh, savant, I think it's savant. Most savants are born that way, but a brain trauma can cause acquired savant syndrome, where ordinary people suddenly develop genius level abilities they didn't have before. Brain cells need a constant supply of fuel to stay alive, yet they lack the ability to store energy. Fortunately, there's a backup system. Your liver breaks down stored fat to produce ketone bodies that can be used as a substitute fuel when commonly used blood glucose is not available. The brain in your head isn't your only brain. There's a second brain in your intestines that contains 100 million neurons. Gut bacteria are responsible for making over 30 neurotransmitters, including the happy molecule serotonin. I just want to jump in here and say that when I had really bad anxiety and I did research on it, I read that having a bad gut can cause anxiety, and this really confirms that. So if you suffer from anxiety that seemingly comes out of nowhere, just check your gut, see if you have digestive issues or anything like that, because sometimes solving those can actually solve your anxiety. Some scientists believe zombies could actually be created. They think it's possible that a mutated virus or parasites could attack the brain and rapidly spread throughout large populations, essentially causing a zombie apocalypse. Users of Apple devices really are different than those who use Android products. MRIs reveal that Apple products stimulate the God spot in their user's brain, the same part of the brain activated by religious imagery in people of faith. A few facts about the brain are as strange as the posthumous story of Albert Einstein's brain. The pathologist who performed Einstein's autopsy kept the brain in a jar in his basement for 40 years. Eventually, he made a cross-country trip with the brain in a Tupperware container to deliver it to Einstein's granddaughter. And that was it for the facts about the brain. I kind of love sciencey facts. I always learn a lot. So,